like, I think you realize that, like, empires wax and wane, and you start forces, and this guy takes over this guy. And so he was just a total act of just like, look, he's killing things. He's not gonna do it.
The problem is, man, is like we got to deal with the system that's already in place. It's like when I come with my fucking electric plug and I say your wall should fit my electric plug. It doesn't. You need an adapter. You need a time of destruction to build the ideal. And see, Christ was just used now by the same oppressive people to control the masses. Exactly. Tupac is just used by the people that took advantage of him to take advantage of more people.
It's just like animals.
And the message
But he
is
did
lost.
well, I don't know about that. His message was broadcast on a bigger microphone to a certain extent.
Right.
It was a symbiotic situation.
All the pieces come into place, right, where the message becomes purer and purer and purer. Like Christ's message is so watered down by this time, right? Tupac's message is in the subconscious of so many people. Plus, his message is now in the actual film that he recorded being released. You see what I'm saying? So all these truths become more self-evident. The truths become more concrete and less dilutable as we go along in our evolvement as a human species. But they chose the same path, and their product is being used the same way. It's like, I think someone along the lines who's in that position needs to choose what seemingly is the evil way to create the most good,
Well,
seemingly is the bad way, but at the end can have the best payoff. It's like life's a gamble,
Yeah, I mean, I think that there's a fine line in terms of that kind of dislocation, just in the sense of, what happened post 9/11.
Yeah.
I think that.
What do you mean? What?
Well, I think that should there be another, like in other words, if movie theaters start blowing up, if people are in pizzerias and malls start blowing up, that it actually will cause almost like a military,
It'll cause a crackdown.
Well, yeah, I mean, it will
force the revolutionaries into guerrilla war.
Well, it's going to be very difficult to do that at this point. I mean,
I don't think it's difficult. I don't think
martial law is what I was talking about.
Yeah, totally.
Lockdown.
I'm not a proponent of saying, well, we should have had a black revolution.
Right.
I think, yeah, we should have. I think if they had followed what they needed to do for themselves, we would have had one. But instead, downward spiral happened, right? The wrong path was chosen. Now, I'm not saying that I would have enjoyed it, but I'm saying for them, I think that was the best ideal. Because once you stand up, it's just like in a dog pack. Once you stand up and you say, no, you will not bite me.
Well,
no, you will not take my food. Now suddenly you've got a bigger portion.
But you know what? I think there are different ways to do that. In the sense, like, for instance, I feel that an actual physical confrontation could diminish their cause to a certain extent. And I think that there are better ways to fight.
Bring out more racism.
Well, there's that. But also, I think that when you look at, like, South Africa, just as an example, they were in an oppressive situation for you name it, however long, on all levels, and there was actual physical confrontation. People getting locked up in Robben Island where there was no color. I mean, people were in there for 10 years and they hadn't seen a red or a blue or a green. Everything was gray. I mean, just the intensity of the oppression. But what finally toppled that regime was the people got together and they said, you know what? Fuck you guys. I am not going to spend one dime in your store. 3 months after that, all of the purveyors, the businessmen went to the powers that be and said, "You fuckers better get this shit together, because I'm losing bank here." That was actually how they successfully, non-violently, overthrew the system. Right. They voted with their pocketbooks.
But it goes back to the same thing as I was saying with the plug. It's like, that's the ideal. I can just plug everything right into the wall, right?
Right.
But in modern black culture, their culture has become so oppressed and violent that the only way you could actually get anybody in their culture to take part in a revolution is through violence.
But they're almost more violent on their own people as opposed to.
Completely.
I think that I mean, when you look at the prison industrial complex, where you have 70% of the people in there because of drugs and drug-related crimes, and like I took Dallas to Amsterdam a couple of years ago, and it was like,
Yeah, I saw the pictures.
it's all legal. I mean, it's like they aren't propelled or they aren't compelled to do B&Es to get their fix and so on and so forth. And there are so many people who are profiting from the complex, i.e. building it, maintaining it, feeding it, that they'll never, and also you think of the $1.2 trillion of illicit funds that need to be laundered every year, $600 billion that goes through Wall Street. If you do a transaction of 10,000 or more, you need to report that to the Fed. But guess what? Wall Street does not have to do that. And there are reasons for that.
Interesting.
And
well, the government definitely takes advantage. I mean, they're the ones that instituted drugs in that culture to begin with, to fund a lot of black operations during that time, right? They're still doing that. But I mean, the point is that.
I think they need to win at the game. In other words, they need to not spend money at Walmart. They need to support black business. They need to. Don't you think?
I fear that they won't.
Why?
Because our culture has brainwashed them to think they need the next best thing, the shiniest thing. I mean, that's what I'm saying about Tupac being taken advantage of by the actual system that he sought to free himself of. He sought to use as a means of expression. Right? Because now these same people are like, oh, well, I've got to have a Tupac CD, and I've got to have a Biggie CD, and I need that flashy gold chain. Their whole culture now has everything to do with what people think about them, how they appear to others. They'll never not buy those things.
Well, I mean, I think
they do in a small group of people do.
Right.
But the large population doesn't.
Right, but I think that if someone like Tupac could be enlightened in terms of some of the things that we've been talking about, as far as it really boils down to economics in a sense and getting a stranglehold on the situation. And that starts from between your ears. That's the gray matter. They need to be enlightened. I mean, like somebody who can go to the churches, somebody who can go, grassroots and let them know, where the short hairs are. And that's how to yank on it. And really, it starts at home. It's discipline.
I think that's great.
Whereas
that's the best thing. But what I'm saying is, you can't always have the best thing,
Right.
Sometimes you got.
But I mean, look what Mahatma did. Look what Mahatma did. You know what I mean?
Well, I mean, look what Mahatma did. Look what Martin Luther King Jr. did.
Right.
I mean,
and they killed them. They killed both of them.
Men?
They're both dead, but they live on. Their thoughts live on, and that's what's key, though.
To me, that's just like. There's Martin Luther King Drive in every city, right? But instead of your thoughts living on, what if the future is now? What if the paradise is now? Why wait when you can take what you need from the system that oppresses you?
Well,
Fuck little girls.
who's that? Oh,
You kill like millions of people, and he's an absolutely ruthless person.
As most great figures in history.
But then, like, remember what we said about the revenue that's too clean?
Yeah.
It's like an expression of like somebody like a general
Very strong personalities, take what they want, but yet believe that. I think they basically believe that everyone should be that strong. But most people aren't.
I think,
you know what I'm saying?
I think the main thing that's strong was that virtue. Like you look like both Invading and one, they were called the man of virtue of his time. They were fierce warriors. But at the same time, they had such a strong virtue and morality.
well, see, that's the thing is that I think that there is definitely a time for violent resistance in certain situations, but you have to have your priorities in order, and have to be disciplined and determined, and be fully consistent with a game plan, as opposed to just random acts of violence to an end.
Terrorism. There's three people I hate the most in the world: racist, terrorists, and drug dealers.
Right.
And unfortunately, our government is all three in many ways.
Yeah.
I love America. I love American people. But a lot of the things that have been allowed to happen in our communities and what we've instituted around the world, pure barbarian. They're barbarian. I mean, they're just savage.
Well, it's not sustainable. I mean, you look at the media and what we're projecting out. I mean, That was one of the things that was very poignant. We were stuck in that traffic jam and just like looking at a truck filled with televisions, and it's just like a virus. You know what I mean? I mean, there is a lot of good that comes there, but realistically, what that is doing is it's exporting a non-sustainable way of life, i.e. our American way of life is not sustainable in its present form. What?
Even this monk at the top of the sky, the one that
Yeah.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
I think TV is a great tool of education and communication.
But is it used that way? No, it's not.
Well, just like a gun. I mean, it's only bad when you shoot somebody who doesn't deserve it, right?
Well,
A television is only bad when you're projecting images that are purely based on lust and selfish desires.
Yeah.
Right?
well, I mean, the thing is that a gun is what it is, but realistically, when you think about society, period, even our quote-unquote benevolent, our our shining American way of life, it's really based on violence. But violence and greed.
Violence and greed.
That's correct, but I'll tell you what the root of it is. A lot of it is money, and when you actually, it's like if you're involved in a court situation, there are fines, there are settlements, judgments. It's all, and if you don't have enough money to pay your bills, or this and that, you can wind up in situations that are detrimental to your well-being. Yeah.
They have cops come in on like 4 inches, and they just just start holding you there and checking your ticket. 50-cent ticket.
They're walking around with M16.
No.
Have you seen them come through the bar with M16s? No. Well, it's Armalite AR-15s, but it's basically like an M16. They come strolling through
Where
the
was
bar
this?
with fully automatic weapons. This is in
Oh
San
yeah.
Francisco. Strolling through the bar with fully automatic weapons.
Yeah.
I've seen them multiple times. It's the same thing. It's like the whole structure for the military system, the military state, is already in place.
Well, yeah.
And it's slowly,
it's on your cell phone, which has you have you're projecting your signature. You can be triangulated. Your every call that you make, every transaction you make, it's so cheap now, and I mean it's like all the corporations are locking in the patterns. Yeah.
Slowly escalating. Well, it's just like the Mark 666. I mean, pretty soon we're all going to need chips to communicate.
Well,
and
yeah.
to buy,
Well, it's
sell.
RFID, and it's your.
They're all located in the Astrodome. Oh God! Military air.
They did what?
They were they relocated all from the Astrodome.
Yeah.
They were military in the Astrodome, recruiting people, saying, "Look, you've lost everything. Come join the
I mean,
military."
that's purely practical.
Yeah.
That's purely practical.
Did you ever see Fahrenheit, or not Fahrenheit, the Moore film? Fahrenheit 9/11.
9/11.
Yeah, Fahrenheit 9/11. About how they just sort of.
They focus on minorities because they have no other path, no other possibility for education, and I mean. They're uneducated already, so you can tell them whatever you want. They can't fight you. I mean, it's not
Once
like
they
it's
sign
a
the
rich
contract,
man's son
yeah.
who can get out of basically anything if you lie to them.
Yeah.
They have no other option. So, I mean, that's purely practical from a military standpoint. It's like if we're in the middle of a revolution, you go to a place where the oppressive forces have just destroyed everything, and you go, hey, man, you want to join the cause? We're fighting the same people. You say, you have nothing. We can offer you whatever you need. I mean, that's not evil. I mean, it's just practical. I mean, if you want to destroy an enemy, first you learn his ways and perfect them.
Well, see, that's the thing. Just coming through on this trip and actually firsthand seeing what's happening and watching the transformation of the culture. I mean,
What have you noticed about it?
just that they are going for it. They are going for it. All these people that are in the little shops where they hand fix everything. You see all those little places where they're just cobbling it together like they have for years. And then you start to see, Toyota 4Runners on trucks, appliances. All of these things require power. They're not efficiently put together. It's like
coal.
That's right. They're burning coal to sustain it, whereas we use a lot of natural gas and so on and so forth.
We have one of the largest coal burning we burn almost the most coal in the world as well.
Right, but
quite as
China
much as they
has some of the world's largest reserves, and they're going after it. Actually, Xi'an is one of the province that we're in now, or Shanxi, is one of the largest coal deposits of anthracite and bituminous coal, and they're just pulling it out as fast as they can.
It's all the strip mining.
Yeah.